Yes.
I tried to load the data set, but
It won't load.
yeah, it's corrupted.
No, this is an Excel sheet, so we have to import this one. Are you trying to load the ANT data set or a different one?
I was trying to just load a data set, but it wasn't loading.
Okay, so follow through with me on loading importing this Excel sheet that we just downloaded, and then I will help with individual data sets. Yes, what's the problem?
Is it CMDR in the bracket?
R, capital R, lowercase CMDR. And we're going to import an Excel data set. Yesterday we loaded a data set, but we'll go through an Excel import because that's the way, sort of the way the data came. I messed with it a little bit. And it isn't a zip file, so you will have to extract it, yeah.
Which table are we selecting?
I'm going to go through that. All right, so it should be downloaded and extracted now. And we'll go to Data, Import Data, and we're going to select Excel, call it Ant Paper, and OK. And then I'm going to navigate to my, this will be called BioPaper for Emetrics. And then we'll say Open, and we were going to select Plan 1, because that's the paper, that's the sheet with the data in it. Sheet 1 is a pivot table. So Plan 1. Does plan mean sheet in some language? I think it probably does. What? Yeah, so, all right, so say OK. All right, and then view it to make sure, and I'll tell you what's in it. It's a specimen, and then the name they gave it when they uploaded the sequence code, the country it was done in, the species, subgenus. They made a biogeography code, and then this sample maps back to the specimens. There's a lot of NAs in here, which means they didn't successfully, the PCRs didn't run, the gels didn't run, the refrigerator turned off. What? It's true. No, and anybody who's done this, the first thing you might want to say is, "Oh man, they're incompetent." But I'm sorry, everybody does this. Everybody, do people slack in the genomics world for stuff that doesn't work? Yeah, because there are demons. These people are lab. And you take Bio 1, Chem 1. Did your lab stuff go for no apparent reason? Yes, there are demons. And you have more than most of you. All right, so, and then it's just how many bacterial count, not really, but they called it that. So, and then the standard deviation of that. So we have two continuous variables. We have a categorical variable. We have another categorical variable. We have another categorical variable. So all of these are categorical variables. So we have, or nominal variables. Do we have any binary variables? 0 or 1? No, we don't. So it does in another data set. So we have a few things we can analyze here. And we are going to do, we're asking the question, were there differences in sampling across the bioregions by subgenus? And we're going to ask the question then, is there a different bacterial count in bioregions? Okay? So two questions to answer. Data were acquired at 10:07 today. All right. So we want to ask those two questions. We've looked at these. We've identified what kinds of variables we have here. Our commander will sort of force us into thinking it knows. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our tools, load our RCommander plugin, and make sure, go to tools, RCommander plugins, and load the KMGG plugin.
I can't get my data set to load. I don't think I'm selecting the right table.
Are you doing import in Excel or?
Yeah.
Okay. Did that fix you?
I
Was your-
figured mine.
Okay, awesome.
Are we using the worksheet
Sorry, did you cancel? Or did you just download the AMP data? Okay, is it open? It looks like it's open. So close it. Sorry, now try it. Now try
Yeah, you might have stuff in that.
Click on your exports and see. There you go. It's just being selected from Excel. All right, was there another hand up?
This is the new
I don't know
laptop.
how to fix this.
I went through it seriously. I got chickens yesterday.
It's just freezing.
It's like I unlocked it and like it just, I can get logged out and refresh it and then I restart it. As soon as I want it, so
Has downloading and installing updates from the Okay, so,
this is the new laptop.
well, once you, the problem when you get a brand new laptop is it will install updates and then install more updates and then install updates for the updates. And then or for right now, why don't you just come up here and drive and I'll give directions for 9 minutes. All right, and then once we're done with this, you can.
You like having a chauffeur?
Not really.
Just talk and be like, okay.
Yeah, no, the question was, do I like having a chauffeur? And it's only if I can sleep. So go ahead, take over, I'll take a nap. Plan, whatever. You can Filipino. All right, so now do we have it KMGG plot loaded, and we have, click back on where it says data set, and it says ANT paper, so you don't have to do that, but click where it says data set, make sure you have ANT paper as the data set of choice, and now go to KMGG plot. We're going to do a box plot. Okay, and we are going to go grab biogeography as our X variable, yes.
All of my plots that are KMG plot are third plot. Not
Great.
right out.
Yeah, okay, click right there where it says the active data set, and make ANT paper the active data set, and it will be there. All right? You all right? Other than eating sleep. Which we all do, yes.
You can see my KG.
Okay, tools. Load our standard plugin. Click on KMGG plot. Yes. Click on active data set. Click on go to KMGG plot. No, close that. You don't have your data set. Don't be viewing your data set when you're working on it. Go to KMGG plot. Box plot. All right. Yeah, whenever you load a new plugin, it bounces you out of the data set. All right, and so we're going to do biogeography by average bacterial count of a box plot, and we're going to do flipped coordinates just because I feel like it. Flipped coordinates is down in the middle of the page, just below options. Bang, all right.
There we go.
And now we're going to say OK. And the reason I flipped it is because then you can read the names. All right, so do we think we have any differences amongst these? Yes? Okay. So red. Okay, go to data and click in.
The biogeographic area of southeastern Asia. Oh,
All right, so does it look like there's a difference in the number of species or the number of bacteria on an ant's bottom in any particular area?
I don't get the option for.
Okay, you need to view your data set. Yeah. It's not the right data. So try reloading and grab plan one. I think you might get cheap. All right. All right, so it looks like so let's go ahead and look at this in a means. I'm guessing that there are some significances among those. We would run a Kruskal-Wallis. Let's go ahead and run our Kruskal-Wallis. Statistics, non-parametrics, Kruskal-Wallis, biogeography, average bacterial count, okay. So go back to the...
That's the exact same thing.
Yeah, just click there. Yeah, so the p-value is 0.17, so not particularly significant. What do you have? 0.3. You have a difference of 0.23. Let's go back and look at our biogeography. Go back and look at your plot. Go back and look at your plot. Do you have oriental and then little o oriental?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the many mistakes, which I fixed while I was sitting here looking at you. But so there, I fixed many more between 1007 and 1027. Right, so first, this is a pretty sloppy data set. When you pull people's stuff down and you start seeing things like this, it starts to make you wonder how many other errors there are other than the usual demons and wraiths that haunt you in the lab. There seems to be some sloppiness in data entry here that was not fixed before the paper was published. But the reviewers could not have seen that if they had not opened the data. So I'm one of the jerks who opens the data and looks at it for papers when I'm reviewing because I would prefer they weren't sloppy. Let's go ahead and do this in the means because we don't see a median difference. So we'll go ahead and go to CAMGG plot, and we're going to do box plot, violet plot, confidence interval. And we're going to do the same thing, which is biogeography, by average bacterial count. And we're going to change it to 95% confidence interval, t-distribution, and flip the coordinates so we can see the country names, and OK. Ooh. Ooh, are there any means that fall outside of any other means?
New Guinea and India.
Yeah, New Guinea and some of the others. So let's go ahead and we're going to do an ANOVA on this, or a one-way ANOVA. So we're going to go back to statistics. This is a multi-way t-test. So we're going to go to means, because we're looking at means. And we're going to do a one-way analysis of variance. Same thing, we're going to do biogeography count. And we're do the Welch's test because we're assuming unequal variance because we got one this big and one this big, so we're pretty sure that the variances are unequal. So we're going to do Welch's and we'll say OK. And overwrite it if yours asks to overwrite it. And what's our p-value?
Not enough observations.
Not enough observations in some of those to calculate things. All right. So the answer is we have so many comparisons here that our 95% isn't a really good place to go. All right? So that's why we bothered to run the test, because there are some violations that are, go ahead and assume equal variances. Go ahead and rerun it assuming equal variances. It's going to be statistics. Yeah, get rid of Welch. And okay. And not significant. All right, so again, we have small sample sizes, and so our confidence interval looked like, yeah, okay, that means above there, but the sample sizes are too small for us to get the things we want. All right, so we're going to do one more thing. I wanted to know if there was this relationship between the mean and the variance, which is another thing that's a problem. So we're going to do a scatter plot. We're going to go to CAM-GG-plot. We're going to do a scatter plot. And we're going to look at bacterial count versus the bacterial standard deviation. Second one, the Y. And we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a linear regression confidence. And we're going to say, okay. Ooh. Yeah, so we'll talk about why this is a pretty serious problem later on. But so this is telling us that when they got big sample counts, they got 0 and a ton, right? They got 0 or a ton. So this should tell you when you get these in the lab or in any other thing where you get 0 or gazouns and you repeated samples, it tells you there's probably something wrong with your lab process. But this got published, so why not? All right, and then we're going to do this by biogeography. We're going to facet this by biogeography just because we can. And you can facet this to your heart's content, just scatter plot. Yes. Same thing, and bacterial ST, and we'll facet it by biogeography. And sure, whichever way you want. You can do it as stratum variable, and then you're going to do our linear regression. And you're going to say, okay. And, well, okay. I'm guessing maybe it wasn't a good idea to. Now you see your small sample sizes when we facet, and this is the end of our, this is the end of our quick run through. We've answered the questions we wanted. There is a relationship between the mean and variance, and that's not necessarily bad. We have small sample sizes across bioregions, so anything claiming something about bioregions probably is not particularly accurate, right? Because we have little tiny, we have ones that we have a few in the Philippines. In the Palearctic, we have one, so maybe they should have clubbed into larger than groups. All right, does this make sense? We had a data set, took us 20 minutes after loading it to come to this completion. What I expect you to do is know what variable types you have and run your graphs. It is more important to me that you talk about your graphs at this stage than you talk about the analysis. But for box plots and for error bar charts, you know which tests to do. You know to do a Kruskal-Wallis for box plots. You know to do a t-test or an ANOVA for your error bar or plots of means. I know you talk about it a great deal, but I expect you to know whether that p-value is smaller than 0.05 or larger than 0.05, with the proviso that I think 0.05 is as nuts as Sir Ronald Fisher said it was, but we're going to go with that because that's a standard convention. Yes, like the standard convention that all the men are dressed like men here, and so are all the women. Right? We all wear the traditional dress of men. That has changed, right? Juniata 20 years ago, would that have been true? When I started teaching here, it was not. And I didn't start teaching it that long ago. All right, ready to go? And go.